I'm John DeArmond with the Coquille Valley Sword Group, and today we're talking about Article 30. So, let's begin. Article 30, Comparing Heights. Comparing heights is the teaching that if you're clinging to the body of your opponent, you should do this in such a manner as if you were wrestling for size. That is to say, you should expand your body as strongly and widely as possible, so that you appear larger than your opponent at all times. The rhythm of clinging to the opponent's body is again identical with that of the previous articles. This should be carefully considered. So, all three or four of these connecting articles, including the one that follows after this, are all related into this distance where we've come in close to the opponent, right? Here, Musashi says, okay, you get into that distance where he can hit you without moving. What do you want to do? Right? Make your body broad, make your body tall, right? Open everything up, right? Make it sizable. Well, why? Right? like that seems not only counterintuitive, but it flies in the face of sort of so much of the modern ideology as to what fighting should be. You know, it's not the sort of sideways stance, I give my opponent the least amount of target to hit, like nonsense that gets thrown away by the McDojos. Thrown out, rather. So why do we want to present this big, large target? Why does it matter if we're broad? Well, for two reasons, right? The first is psychological, right? We're using this to impose just a little bit of psychological discomfort on our opponent. Now, does that mean that every person that sees a puffed up person is bothered, is unbalanced by it? Not necessarily. Does it mean that short little fighters have a large psychological disadvantage against big fighters? It depends on the little fighter, I assume. But it costs us nothing, right? There's no downside to doing it, and so even if it gives us benefit only 10% of the time, it's still worth it to do it that way. However, the psychological benefit is not the primary benefit. It's just a bonus, right? The primary purpose, as those of you who have been paying attention should have guessed by now, is in the concept of inyo, right? In that, if we are already in a position that is completely contracted, in other words, we have minimized our form as much as possible to avoid presenting a target, we can't minimize it further, right? All we can do is expand. In contrast, right? If we're wide, if we're expansive, and they swing at us, we can contract to any sort of direction in any kind of fashion. We can literally come in from any side, right? Now you think about how this applies to the kata work, and you should see it right away in Sasen, in the Hasos, in all of them, on and on and on, right? So the Russians express this idea as having room to collapse. You should always have room to collapse. You should never be too far forward because you can't go forward. You should never be too far back because you can't go back. You stay in the middle so that you can collapse to any direction. Their idea is with it as defensive, right? For Musashi, it's very much offensive, right? We present the target, say, hey, you want to hit me? I'm right here, right? Bam. And we hit him, right? We collapse, but into the attack. So, if you have questions about this, go back and watch the Sasen and Haso videos specifically, and just watch the kata part over and over again. You don't even have to worry about the application or the explanation. Just watch the kata being done and get a sense for it. and you'll come to intuitively understand it. Of course, if you want to really understand it, you have to pick up a sword and go train.